Hello, everybody. It's me, Robo Gas. How you going? I'm doing pretty good. Pretty zoomed in today. Got a camera in a different spot and everything. So yeah, we're going to do our PhD update today. I'm also, while I'm doing this, I'm cheering on Cheesy Jokester. I think this is like the last boss or something in, what's this game? Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door. Really great game. I really want to play it myself. I don't usually watch games so far in, but Cheesy's a great streamer. Really generous streamer. Big heart. Right. So I want to talk through a few different bits and pieces today with the PhD. It's actually been a pretty quiet week, guys. And, I can't complain about that. But it's been a good week. My, big disparity, I suppose, for want of a better, or maybe some dissonance, maybe that's the better term, is the fact that a PhD in games, and everybody's PhD experience actually is going to be different. And everyone's kind of like doing different things, if that makes sense. So sometimes I'm thinking like, am I doing the right thing or maximizing my time or whatever? And if I'm honest, like conceptually, I know that things could be bigger and greater, but then I also have to operate within the realities that I have to operate in. But I still want to do a really good job. Oh man, did he get cooked? Damn, no. Ah, what a pain. Oh, thanks for having us. And I hope you get it next time. So, like, he was just versing this boss, and then he just got cooked right at the end. It's tricky, you know what I mean? Like, hearing him, he's explaining his thought process of, like, being at that boss and then doing everything that you need to do, but still losing anyway. That's, like, really hard, you know? But yeah, shout out to Cheesy Jokester, guys. If you don't know him, go and check him out. So, let's talk about the past couple of weeks, how I did 2 videos where it was like week 14. So I will show you guys how I'm like keeping track of what's going on. I have, like, since the week I started, I just have the weekly dates and I double check, triple check all these. And so basically what's happened is I've gone and tripped myself up somewhere, or I've done like 2 videos in 1 week type of thing. I'm not sure, but I've had a blip. And it's so funny because, it kind of makes you look a little incompetent. But at the same time, I'm only human. And at the same time, it is a rival Gaz stream, right? Because we do these all on stream. So I still have to be rival Gaz whilst also being like real Gaz, lagging out and all for you guys. It's the least that I could do. I know how to fix that, by the way. We need an Ethernet cable. There's just something about Wi-Fi, at least in this house with this Google infrastructure, that it's instant but not. And particularly with 4K video feed and everything that's going on. I know you're like, is this 4K? Yeah, shout to Samsung, by the way. I'd really like to use this a Sony Android phone, an Xperia. But anyway, so this is now week 15, right? So we have been in the PhD program for 15 weeks. And hopefully this will be smooth sailing from this point out. So we got a few different topics that I want to talk through this week. The first being, we'll go in this order. We'll talk through the PhD, we'll talk about gaming in general, and then we'll talk about the stream. So with the PhD, I want to talk about my thoughts on TikTok, my thoughts on AV1, my thoughts on some of the next readings that we have coming up. And on gaming, I want to talk about Arthur's death in Red Dead Redemption 2, our Robo Quest speedruns, and Diablo 4 Revisited. For the stream, I want to talk about meeting non-gamers, meeting streamers off of Kick, and talk a little bit about the A770, the Intel graphics card. Wicked. So ordinarily, I don't really have slides or anything like cooked up. And I don't really have the time or inclination as of late to go back and edit these videos to have everything put on top. I know that really sounds like pretty lackluster, but please remember, guys, my primary focus at the moment is doing my, I believe it's final 250 hours. There's my dog barking. I don't know why. He doesn't really bark when I'm at home looking after the dog or whatever. It's just he misbehaves with other people. I don't know why. He just does. Right, so let's talk about on TikTok. Now, I've got this little image here. You might be able to see this if you full screen. But if you don't worry, guys. All it is a image of the TikTok Studio logo and a few different posts. I looked at my TikTok analytics, right? So I don't really use a lot of TikTok. The reason why I don't use a lot of TikTok is because I'm still a hipster at heart, and TikTok is way too mainstream, way too popular for me personally. Now, I know that sounds a bit rich for a dude who applied for a role at TikTok. But what I'm saying is that in the context of me having my higher education in like national security studies, I don't want to go into it, but like I understand that TikTok probably wouldn't be the best platform for me anyway. And someone of my persuasion and the influences that kind of permeate my life. But still, nonetheless, like I have a TikTok, right? I'm not afraid of it. And TikTok told me that only one person looked at my stuff last week. Now, that's nothing to be ashamed of, guys, because I said I'm currently not really using it. When you use the app and when you play the game and when you make TikToks and original content, you can't not get success on that platform. It's TikTok. Yeah? You just got to be able to make OC. So, like, and you got to make reasonable OC. You got to make reasonable OC. Because, like, in my videos here, I have OC that makes sense for people who know me that got like 5 views and 3 likes. Probably from the people that know me, makes sense for that OC, right? And then I have like other OC that's a little bit more open-ended, but not the greatest OC, right? And then that's going to have like 700 views, for example. Maybe 10 times the likes. What I did with my TikTok is different to what most people do and what most people should do, right? So when I was setting up all my social media presence for streaming, at the time, not that it was really well documented or anything, so please, you got to take my experience both anecdotally and a little bit more, but there was a lot of fear around content theft. So, and repurposing, and this still occurs for really big streamers and content creators. So the approach that I took was I will make my content and I will put it everywhere. The problem is, though, is that it's no longer OC per platform. It's all OC, but it's like, who gets the OC first, if that makes sense? And this was really at the beginning of YouTube Shorts. So everybody's policies and everyone was still kind of figuring out what was what. And this was really before creator funds were really going out everywhere. And on creator funds, I did see a tweet. I don't have any additional substantive proof, but like I scrolled past a tweet and somebody was explaining how TikTok in Australia doesn't really have a creator fund, which is really interesting because that kind of has implications for the type of success you might experience as an Australian creator. All right. So where am I at with TikTok then? And what would I do in regards to potentially working for them and potentially just making content on that platform as an alternative for something to do? This is a really interesting proposition for me because I took the time to read TikTok's basics, and then I also take the time to scope out successful creators who are within a few standard deviations of where I'm at, and I'm looking at what they're doing and what success looks like for them and what I can do. I also know what I can do all on my own, just following the basic guidance that comes out, if that makes sense. And I'm excited to go and see if we can grow that, because we need 1,000 followers in order to stream. And I know people are getting stream keys being able to stream outside of that requirement, but I actually like making TikToks. They're fun to make. It's fun content. The whole platform is fundamentally about fun. And you can't dismiss that. But there's also a lot of potential brain rot and stuff. I recognize that. As well as the darker side to content and influencing. And if you know, you know what I'm saying when I use that term. So where do we go once we get our hours? Because I'm going to have to be, I got 2 seasons worth of content, around about 2,000 hours worth of footage to go through. This is a different kind of challenge to when we were on Twitch, where we did 2,000 hours, but we didn't, as we were amateurs back then, and we make amateur content now. That's the distinction. I was an amateur back then, but I make amateur content now. I completely know what I'm doing, and I'm the kind of guy who gets paid if I want to get paid, if I want to take your money. Because I've helped a lot of people, you know, and if you're helping people, money talks. But this isn't, and I've never been about that money. That's not what I do, right? Now, where am I going with this? Once we're doing all our editing and all this stuff in comparison to when we were on Twitch. On Twitch, we did 2,000. We walked away with 200, so 10%. And then of that 200 footage hours, we were able to reduce that down to about 20 footage hours for YouTube. So I expect the same thing, though, but I will have a lot more material. Ideally, we will distill the 2,000 hours down to 20 for YouTube. And in the process, we should be able to cook up some OC to grow on TikTok to do some streams in vertical. Because I'd really like to do vertical portrait streams at some point. It's just something about the perspective, and it's fun. And you can do it on the phone, and it's a different kind of experience, guys. compared to this PC master race or chuck it on the TV like we have here, and we do. Let's talk about AV1. So AV1 is a, like, I don't want to say it's a, I'm going to scuff this, right, without having read the proper documentation. Anyway, you save your videos as AV1. That's how it works, right? However, I spoke about this last week, but my problem with saving my videos with AV1 is that I use Adobe Premiere Pro to do my editing, and it doesn't play nice with AV1, right? Not without using a third-party plugin. I don't want to use no third-party plugin. What's really interesting, though, is that, like, Adobe is a member of this, is an alliance or a consortium. It's a group that's making this AV1 for your video files to go into. And admittedly, it is very, very nice. And admittedly, the settings, like, if you apply it, I applied the same settings for a different way to save your files to this AV1, and I got outstanding quality, but I also got outstanding file size, and the initial draw was outstanding quality, minimal file size. In my actual experience so far, I'm getting, they're about the same. So I need more tweaking on my side. So same file size, slightly better quality, but the inconvenience of having to duplicate a file to, in the process of re-encoding it in order to edit it. So what that means is, for you academics out there, and let's just say you're typing up an article in Word, it's like you could save that article as a PDF, and then you go to open the PDF and you can't edit it. And you're like, that's weird. Why are you getting me? I thought PDF was the future. And it's like, no, you still need just plain old Word documents. And you're like, oh, okay. I see how these steps work now. It's kind of like that. And the final thing I want to talk about really quickly without going into it is this Digra library, right? So this digital research group into gaming has a really wonderful list of readings that their reading group goes through. And I managed to get my hands on that list, and I'm going to read all the same readings, right? I did speak about this earlier. I do want to bring it back up so that way you guys know it's not just a flash in the pan. It was like actually something that I'm going to do. What's cool about it is that we're at the point where there's like 69 nice readings to do. And I'm going to get a print copy of all these stuff, but I have not been able to do it this week or last week. And, well, I scratched my nose, no FBI techniques. But I could have got it done, but there was no push. But I'm going to get them done within the next 2 weeks, as in getting a copy of them all and making sure that I read them all and stuff. And that's basically going to fulfill the core requirement for me of getting up to date on some literature. However, it's not the same as doing a complete literature review, which is a requirement in the PhD as well. And as the year goes on, we'll be doing all of that. In terms of like a yearly timeline and what matters, right, for what we got to do, this is like an interesting one. Because basically, at the moment, I hold a single supervisor, don't have the whole panel, and I don't have like any kind of official sanction to have Lady Gatsby helping me. And when I say Lady Gatsby helping me, I mean the intention originally was that I would be Lady Gaz, the people of Lady Gaz, so that way they could get all their training competencies and stuff done, all under the supervision under the Dean of Graduate Studies at the time, with a vision of being able to challenge this preconceived notion that you can't have husband and wife teams doing research together because it's unethical or whatever. And there's also plenty of research opportunities to explore this dynamic that has existed forever. What I'm probably going to get cancelled for this, guys, but like the fact that I can't work with my missus is kind of astounding because, like, in Indigenous culture in Australia, it's like you have elders who are family who hold all the knowledge. They're allowed to work together, publish together, and all this stuff. Because I see no problem with knowledge families and working with your family to learn to study, especially when you have the kind of gifts that we have here that allow us to do these things that many neurodiverse people excel at. I'll leave it at that. It's all about being able to operate successfully in the end, and at the moment we are being able to operate, but the success is yet to be determined. But we will get there. We will get there. So the only thing I have to do left is this confirmation of candidature, submit a sub 10,000 word document that's been referenced, includes all these different bits and pieces that my former supervisor stipulated was to be in there as a Dean of Graduate Studies, and I don't know why people are being so rude during this recording time. But that's okay. Then most folk, usually I'm at home alone, right? So we'll talk about this, but just let me finish. I lost my train of thought. That's really disappointing. Okay, so the thing I'll talk about is that usually I'm no longer allowed to participate in this class that I made at the university, right? That is a huge success, but the class doesn't really work properly without my guidance and advice. So I've been just helping Lady Gaz deliver this class in my own way, right? Providing support in my own way on the home front, working from home. And just being able to bounce ideas around and come up with solutions to the problems that we encounter in teaching 80 students in an intensive and getting them job ready skills, right? Anyway, due to how all the policies are and stuff and things are changing, is that like I'm kind of breaking the rules by lending assistance, but as to the least that is really the least that I could do, being able to try to help a class that I made whose, well, like the entire essence of that class is about humanitarianism and training them up to be able to understand humanitarian situations properly and figure out where they can fit into the puzzle and make a difference, right? Anyway, that class has been running, and you know, if I was back in the game and welcome here, because I'm not really welcome here at this place. You can tell by the experience that I've been having, right, that this university just shits all over me. And I apologize for swearing. I also apologize for having to go into this again, because I actually have written down, I've got a book that I like keep notes in. And in this book, like, I make constant reminders to change the story to be able to sing the praises of this university and talk about all the incredible stuff that myself and I imagine there are other good people here and all the cool stuff that they do, but you know, we'll get around to, enough time will pass where we'll look back and we won't be able to be reminded by all this stuff, so we can continue to tell a really good story. But anyway, like, I'm not really able to help participate in this class. And it's really interesting because it's like still being delivered coming out of my internet here at home, right? So like under my auspice, this kind of happens. These 80 students get taught and all this incredible stuff happens with my guidance and stuff. And it's crazy because I do not even 1% of it anymore. It's just so nuts. And you think about how I stream to nobody all day, and it's just a complete waste of my time by comparison. You know what I mean? If I could be training 80 humanitarians, but that's withheld from me. And this is something that I keep telling you guys, where I hope you can appreciate the fact that even if you have the skills and abilities, sometimes it's not for you to be doing. All right. And don't you dare put yourself in there, because that's not your lane. You can see that, but you walk on by. Yeah. You want to be a good guy, white knight, playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Don't get yourself killed in the process. Yeah? You're on your own path, so stick to it. So I'm just seeing all this stuff, and I'm like, damn, I could have been making such a big difference. I'd still try to make a little difference where I can, a little difference to make a big difference. And then I still do my stream. And now with my stream, we're just trying to do on a personal front, just trying to complete the 2,000 hours so that way I can say that I did it, right? And then we also get a little bit of an artifact out of it and all this stuff, and we get all the hobby side of it and all this stuff too, which is really great. But there's also a lot of overlap and intentionality due to that overlap for the PhD research and everything that we're doing, which is why we do these recaps on stream and why we play the games that we do and keep the footage that we do and all this stuff like that. And it's not all for nothing is what I'm saying, but it's about impact. And I'm okay with not having much or any. Really, I am. But I also know that I haven't even started the ascent of what I'm really capable of and the lives that I can change. But we'll just keep going doing what we're doing right now because that's all we can do. You know what I mean? Moses had to do what he had to do. Everyone has to do what they got to do in their own way. So just moving right along then. Well, before we move right along, let me just say it'd be great to teach again and do all this stuff, but like it takes away from my time doing this and doing the stream, and this is like the full primary focus, which is why the whole, if we don't get a marry up with Starlight, what are we going to be doing in August? You know what I mean? Because it just means no stream, working on post-production stuff. And it's sad stopping stream. It's sad spending time with the community every day, but it's over. And that's it. We got to find somewhere else where we can stream full time. And I don't know where that is or what that is. Maybe Facebook, maybe YouTube, maybe Steam, because we've already done this. We've already done all this Kick, all this Twitch stuff. Can we talk about the Kick bounties? I'm not sure if it will come up, right? Let me just open up Twitter. I'm not really sure exactly how it is. Also, Eminem coming out with something cool. But yeah, what are these bounties? Basically, if I understand correctly, Kick just gets you to make a clip of a challenge that they put up. You do it, they pay you. And I just think it's fun. I think it's neat. I think it's also like, it's a clever way of doing something, but it's not the answer. Right? It's a clever way of doing something, but it's not the answer. Here's why. Here's why. Same with the big push to say we've got dedicated streamers who are going to be on at dedicated times, and they're going to be on the front page. You would have seen this as a Santa Maria and a woman. I don't know who the person is, but they're working on it. This is gonna, it's like scheduled programming. It's just scheduled programming. That's all it is. You don't need to kind of like try to make it all fancy. But you have this mass produced scheduled programming by amateur content creators on Kick, and then you're going to be hoping that you're going to have some kind of production value that leads to a content output that achieves three things. It achieves the social connection, achieves that emotional bonding, and then has that entertainment value, right? This is not Twitch, so are we really interested in marketing and advertising, the fine art of getting people to buy the correct thing? I don't really think so, right? I think at the heart of it, it's just about having fun and having. I kind of think about it like, let's just think about it as if it were a casino. Do you know what I mean? You're going to have your core no matter what, but you still have shops and restaurants and park benches and views and hotel rooms and stuff that all need to be populated and used. And we've got this platform like Kick, and it's the same kind of thing, right? If you're an Aussie, just cast your mind to Crown Casino and go look at all the supplementary stuff that goes on around it. Shout out to James. Haven't seen you in a long time, James. But yeah, anyway, moving right along. Let's talk about these gaming points that I got right in the middle here. Red Dead Redemption 2, Arthur's Deaths, Robo Quest speedruns, and Diablo 4 revisited, right? I have no idea if Red Dead Redemption 2 is a pick your own adventure kind of game or not, or if it's kind of like God of War Ragnarok where there's a scripted story and you go through. But basically, in my playthrough, I don't know if Red Dead is like Cyberpunk, if you know what I mean, where you can pick an ending. Yeah, so in my playthrough, I've got this video here. I'm not going to show you what happened because it's like spoilers. But like this, we'll just play it from the start. I die. Right? And no audio, guys. No audio. Don't worry. But it's funny because I die during some really important moment in the game. And that always happens. The game is clumsy like that. Right? Game's a little clumsy like that. I'll just make it so it definitely fits here. Anyway, so there's this moment in Red Dead Redemption 2. The character dies, the main character. And I kind of articulated it when I was on stream, but the problem that I have with it is not that there's a tragedy, you know, it's just the pointlessness of it. Because I'm all about the idea, or I better said that I recognize the idea that so much about gaming is still around the hero's journey. And this hero's journey turns out to be one that, you know, kind of getting into the narrative element of it a little too much here for my own taste, but is one here. He helps John. John's sort of framed as a dropkick in my playthrough. And then everything, I don't know if he was working towards anything or whatever it is, it just seems, well, it becomes completely inconsequential because the main character dies. And it's like, I said it best last night off stream, but it's a fundamental expectation mismatch because I didn't play the game to die. I'm not playing the game to... I'm playing the game because I want to play the cowboy and I want to be Arthur Morgan or whatever is going on. Do you know what I mean? And ultimately, the direction and the directors and Rockstar, at least in my experience, because I don't know if there's multiple endings or whatever, it's just like the experience you get is you just dead and that's it. You know, like throw it away. And I was confused because I thought that this game took place before the second game. The other way around. The second game takes place before the first game. So is Arthur in that? I don't know. See, it's just like ignorance is my problem in this case. But to me, I was just saddened because it's like you put in the effort, and then what happens? You just get used by Rockstar. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like you put in 40 hours into World of Warcraft, you're a hero champion. 40 hours into Cyberpunk, you can either get a girl or get immortality, or you can just blow your brains out. You play 40 hours of, I don't know, The Witcher 3, which I still haven't finished, but like I imagine there's a thing there for sure. Same with God of War, there's a thing there. Same with Final Fantasy, there's a thing there. There's a kind of like a reward or whatever. And at least in my playthrough, you get killed by the antagonist, and then there's nothing but betrayal for you. That's really radical to me, because it's not fun. And that's a real challenge about this, because games, this is the part where I couldn't even shoot this stick of dynamite because I suck at aiming. But like, a lot of people play games for fun and recreation. But I guess at this point in time, we were seeing the shift in the industry with the cinematography and narrative direction and the type of stories and so on that could be told and how it could be told. And I think all of this is amazing, but at the same time, though, it's like, don't get in the way of the game. Don't get in the way of the game. But sometimes this Red Dead Redemption 2, what was happening was that the game was getting in the way of the story. Like, right at the start of this clip, I fell off the train and it was game over. Right at the end there, you fall off the train and it's game success. Anyway, like, spoilers all up in this part, so I won't keep playing it. But the point being is that I was just saddened at Arthur's death, and I felt like it made my playtime moot. I expected more for Arthur, and maybe because I'm ignorant and I don't know if there's multiple endings or whatever. There's something like that. It's kind of like when we did Fallout 4 and how the way we play that game with speedrun intent just to beat it, we ultimately had to pick these endings that most of my viewers do not like. One viewer loved my choices, British Geezer. The other, Tony, right, didn't like the way that I went about it at all. So maybe Red Dead's the same kind of thing, and I totally scuffed it. And if the story is the story just the way that it is, then I think it's like brave and challenging in its own way. But I wasn't really expecting any of that stuff. And I'm saying this. I'm talking about it from the point of an impression was made on me, but it wasn't necessarily like the greatest one. You have a great game that left a sour taste in your mouth. That's not what you want to be talking about. Hopefully it's more like GTA, and then the way you play gives you whatever. And there's replayability, so that way you can explore all the different potentialities with the universe and the characters. Maybe the game's like that, and if it is, then it's certainly worthy of exceptional acclaim. Let's talk about one last point with that, which is what I feel like I'm experiencing is, and I don't know the proper terms for it as of yet, which is a bit lax for a PhD candidate in this field, but I feel like I'm experiencing the Ludo of the Ludo narrative, as in the idea that the act of you playing the game means that you're having a fundamentally different experience, and that you are shaping the story and the narrative, and and everything through your play and through your choices, right? So it's like it's deep and powerful and connected by virtue of your interaction. This is in contrast to just basically saying like a game is a story on rails and then your input does not add or subtract from the genius of the game, if that makes sense. And what I'm trying to say is that give me any game with an incredible, breathtaking story, 5 out of 5, IGN going to give 10 out of 10. Let me play that and watch me fuck it up severely. I'll do ridiculous stuff because there's that Ludo, there's that player in the mix. And what I'm saying is that give me a bad game, right? Give me a bad game. And then you watch the player turn that into a fantastic experience. I'm looking at you, Crackdown. Looking at you, Crackdown. Overthrow the system, right? A beautiful story. No, like there's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, and what I'm saying, that's all, guys, is that I feel like I've experienced that. I feel like I've experienced this philosophical divide in game studies. Whereas on the one hand, we got the game story the way that we made it as the developers, and you go and experience it, but what you're experiencing is what we made versus what you made of it. And both are important, and both are true because both experiences exist. All right, let's talk about Robo Quest speedruns real quick. So, like, this game. It's called Robo Quest, right? Subhar Johnson and I were playing it. We could kind of say, let me just turn this down. Listening to the Beach Boys while we were fighting this boss, Billy Boom. Anyway, Subhar and I, we ended up beating this game. It took us about 40 hours. Posted about it on our Twitter. It took about 40 hours. And we only played on hard. We did deviate for a little bit, but then we decided we'd continue to play on hard because I found no noticeable difference. And we actually played worse on easier at that time. So we beat the game. We found out that there were additional difficulties for which you can play the game. And we learnt all about the speedrunning rules of the game. And what's cool about it is that it's a cooperative game that you can speedrun that has roguelike elements, which is very similar to Hades, which is the game that I have my records in. And I feel like I could probably do something pretty cool in this game too. It's just fun that you can play with somebody else. And I haven't really been playing this game solo myself to get better at it, right? But it's something that I could consider, and it's something that I would have to talk to Subhar Johnson about because this is an interesting activity where you're playing with viewers, right? Rival Gaz is the stream from the future best friend never had, so it doesn't matter who comes in the chat, right? It's my job to be the best friend and play this. But let me tell you, as real Gaz, it's like there's an opportunity here for me to be potentially pretty decent at this game with Australian speedrunners and international speedrunners, and you can be playing together, potentially getting records and stuff. And maybe I'll be doing this for my own purposes, but I wouldn't want to offend anybody in the process. And I know that's a gentleman like Subhar Johnson totally understands where I'm coming from, and he'd probably be supportive of such an idea because it would mean that the better that I played means the better that he can play. Does that make sense? You play better when you're with better players. You rarely play worse. Anyway, we're going to be speedrunning this game together and learning it. At the minute, we beat the game on hard, but there's additional difficulties for us to unlock. But if you beat the game on normal, people are beating the game in under 20 minutes. And so when we beat the game on hard, we beat the game in 40 minutes. The speedrunners are beating the game in basically the same amount of time, plus or minus 10%, depending on difficulty. So it's very much like Hades, whereby you're going to get to a point where it doesn't matter what's going on, you're just straight up fast. And I'm looking at my play now and comparing it to the one video that we've seen, two British people, a guy and a girl, I think, and their submission of their run. So this is actually something that's going to be really interesting to get. This is a technical challenge for me on the PhD front, for research front, of simultaneously capturing two live feeds and then merging them into a single video, so that way we can show that we did not cheat and that we have proof of the accomplishment that we actually played this and did this. Now, I'm looking at the times that are up there, right? And I'm thinking we can smash them times, but that's just me being competitive and, like sticking my chest out. At the moment, we beat the game once and it took us 40 minutes. These guys are beating the game on 3 difficulty modes higher in half the time. So we got a lot of work to do. But we played this game and it was hella fun. And I know lots of good things can happen. So basically, the 3 things that we got to do is pick classes, learn what works gun-wise, not take damage, not die. That's it. And go really, really fast and light them up. But we'll see what we do and play that one by ear. And finally, Diablo 4 Revisited. Do I got some footage of D4? Is this it here? Yeah, okay. Diablo 4 Revisited. This is going to be a challenging one to talk through. But I'm only going to do it really quickly because, yeah. Diablo 4, we played this on PlayStation 5 when it first came out. And 3 commendable things were how well it played with a controller. But I actually thought that the console experience was, not to riff on our viewers from LA, but I thought the console experience was subpar. But it actually turns out it's just how the friggin' game is. Because playing it all this time, the seasonal type games, I don't know where the hook was. I just really wasn't getting into it. And I'm going to chalk that up to picking, my characters, No offense to Causey and Rival Causey, and no offense to all Druid players. I think maybe Elon plays a Druid, Elon Musk. No offense to you guys. Show me the love. Show me how it works. Right? But the game, I'm under the impression that it's similar to Warcraft, in where the game doesn't start until way, way, way later into it. And basically, all of this stuff is just super easy and feeling almost meaningless and hardly impactful at all. My viewer Subpar was saying that it just felt like a mobile game, and it was so sad because I love Diablo as a franchise. I love Diablo 2. I'm glad they remastered that. I'm looking forward to playing that. Maybe Subpar and I will play Diablo 2 and be like, wow, this game's actually super pimp compared to these ones. These ones are just different. The nature of the beast is different, and I actually have never played that high level of Diablo 4. So at that, not necessarily elite level, but at that enthusiast level or that end game level, for me to really be able to give it a true, proper appraisal. But let me just say that the first time player experience, I have no idea what they're doing at Blizzard. But please, game developers, please do not forsake the first time player experience, because even veteran gamers will have a first time playing your game, and you want to make it so you get that hook and you fall in love with the IP for the first time, or you fall in love with the IP all over again. The game, I don't know if I missed it by clicking on seasonal or something, but like the campaign just needs work. It's finished and there's nothing you can do about it. But what I'm trying to say is like this sort of the player journey needs work. So that way, what I'm trying to say is that I don't need a Final Fantasy, but I want to play like a story or whatever. You know what I mean? Not just the grindy mobile gamey part of it, or the super insane damage part of it, or whatever. But you know what? This is me. I'm effectively a normie outsider when it comes to this Diablo 4 hack and slash dungeon crawler Path of Exile world, right? Let's totally recognize that. But again, I want to play. I want to win. I want to soak it all in, do all this stuff. But the cooperative experience is fragmented. Find myself either getting hurried up to go somewhere, or quests being out of sync, or skipping cutscenes and not really knowing what's going on, or the temptation due to the fractured nature of the game to skip stuff to make sure that you are playing together. It's rough. It's rough. It's not perfect. Other games do it better. The co-op. So my two biggest problems with the game are this sort of first time premiere campaign experience is missing for me. I feel like it can be stronger. And secondly, the cooperative experience, I feel like can be stronger. But this is probably not the game for it. This game is already a clearly articulated vision of a product and service that has a community that has needs that need to be met and continue to be met, and game standards and stuff and norms that are already established and stuff. It's its own thing, and I'm just trying to pick it up, taste it, and appreciate it. More time spent is needed on this game, because that's exactly what I said when we were playing it on PlayStation 5. More time spent. Now that I'm playing it on PC, we can spend a little bit more time with it. Because the truth is that PC games need to be played and evaluated differently. They're just fundamentally different experiences to console-based games. And this is something that I feel like many people in video games don't do a good enough job of, is the delineation and distinction between video games via platform. And this game, you can clearly tell, is a product of something that, at least to me, is designed to play on anything. And then that kind of gives you an experience. That this is in contrast to something like God of War that's only meant to be played one way. Look at Helldivers 2 and look at what happens. Look at what happens, Sony. Yeah? When you've gone from dedicated hardware to 5,000 lesser versions of the PS5. Nuts, right? I can't believe what they did to Helldivers 2. Still probably going to win Game of the Year because that's how the industry works, but like, that game died for me. I will revisit it. I feel bad that I can't play with Tony and that my enthusiasm for the title is gone, but the game, the core spirit of the game is lost for me. I don't see any of it anymore. I see just PC player attitudes infesting the title. The game doesn't even play smoothly anymore. It's just janky. The game was always janky, but I just mean like stuttering frame rates and stuff. Hey man, I ain't playing this on a 65-inch QLED just to play something that plays worse than a 64 title. You know what I mean? It's stupid. No polish, not enough polish in that title. It's just a shame. It's just a shame because this is such a huge success and it does so many things right, but it's so many things wrong at the same time. And losing 90% of their player base on PC tells you all you really need to know. I wish Sony had made and stuck to their guns. Nintendo is still the last company that has that strict rigor for quality, but certain franchises are letting it slip, in particular Pokemon. So let's see what they do. Let's just see what they do. And my question is it just that new audiences can accept less? Or is it too difficult to deliver the quality? What is it? I'm not sure. Or is it just fundamentally about making money? And it's just a happy-go-lucky that you get all the different areas that you would care about in a game come out 5 out of 5. Who knows? Okay, now we've got these final things to talk about here, and I'm just going to breeze over these super fast. Okay, meeting non-gamers on Kick. Right, so we got a new viewer, Sarah T. Shout out to you, Sarah T. Where's the camera? Absolute legend. Sarah's not a gamer. Met him on Kick. We just play video games on Kick. We don't do any other type of content other than semi-educational stuff like this and gaming, creating the artifact and stuff. So it blew my mind that we met a non-gamer on Kick. But at the same time, that kind of speaks to Santa Maria's vision for the platform being beyond gaming. So, you know, non-gaming users are on this platform, which surprises me. They wanted to join Discord for the longest time, and I was very apprehensive for two reasons. The first is that I didn't actually know if a non-gamer would be a good fit for a gamer's Discord. I didn't want anybody to feel uncomfortable or throw off no vibe in there. That's just me overthinking it, because what we have isn't actually not that special. The second thing is that you don't know who you're dealing with on the internet, and particularly, again, people on Kick. You just don't know who you're dealing with, guys, on the internet. You know, I'm legit, but like most folks aren't. Most folks aren't. They are who they are in real life, and then they pretend under a moniker on the internet. Okay, let's talk about meeting streamers off Kick, right? So I had an interesting interaction with a popular streamer on Kick. I feel like it was either a bot or a scam or maybe a dude who's running socials or something. I have no idea. But like, you know, I'm skeptical of so many things, and you can put that on my information security background. But like, I was streaming and then I got contacted by a Kick streamer on Facebook wanting to talk to me, but they wouldn't be talking to me on Kick or on Discord or on Twitter or anywhere else. First time this has ever happened, right? Now, she was a nice person from what I could tell, and a successful content creator by all standards, much bigger than me. So I just don't know what to make heads or tails of it. Anyway, I just contacted that person and said, thank you very much, and moved on. And then finally, the graphics card A770 update. The card's working flawlessly, and that's all there is to say about it. So happy. Does everything that I need for 1080p gaming. No frills 1080p gaming comp settings. I don't, like with Helldivers, right? If I could just turn all of it off and then just have the core, it'd be great. But the game is too janky anyway, and it's not about finesse. It's just about hordes of enemies and explosions and hordes of reinforcements. But yeah, guys, I've kind of spoken for an hour now, so this is the update so far. I'm hoping that, yeah, this is my only hope moving forward with this PhD for this year, is that it stays easy, it stays breezy. We do our confirmation, we get ethics at some point, all by the years out, and then we just keep chilling. And then next year we'll do interviews and everything like that. We'll just keep the PhD as simple and no frills as possible, because that's what I got to do with the resources that I have and where I live in the world, where I'm at with how I live and what I can do and what I choose to do, and what and who's available to me with my resources within my, what do they call it in this country, relative to my opportunity. But thank you guys for all of you who are concerned about how I am, like, going mentally, emotionally and stuff. I'm doing okay, guys. Don't worry. No trouble in paradise. Just some tough and stern moments, but we work through them. And that's what it means to be passionate. And that's what it means to take things seriously, things you care about. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Keep looking over here. Keep thinking the camera's here. But it's here today. All right. So.